In this video, I will talk about retrieval objects. As their name indicates, we use them to retrieve information from external data sources. In our case, it's going to be a vector store, which will contain embeddings of our hospital data. And the whole concept of retrieving information based on the question asked by the user and injecting it in the model's context is called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG for short. And this is much used, guys, in industry and in academy. And we are doing this for two main reasons. The first one is that we can't pass all the reviews one shot in the context, as we have a context limit. And even if we could pass all of them, it wouldn't be a good practice, because we are passing to the model much context which is not necessarily relevant, which doesn't guarantee a good accuracy when answering the question. Now let's see how we can do this. First of all, we need to define a loader. In our case, it's LangChain CSV loader, which will load our data from a CSV file saved here. After that, we need to define an embedder. This will embed our textual document into vectors that we will store in a vector store, which is ChromaDB in our case. Here we define our ChromaDB instance from reviews. We pass the embedder to the method, and we precise that we want to save our database locally in this path. Now, it's to be noted, guys, that for long docs, we need to chunk them into smaller ones, because these embedding models have a fixed size context window. And even when models have enough context size, when the document text grows, the accuracy to find the good document to answer the question decreases. But in our case, we don't need to split documents because they are not long. Let's run these, guys, and you will see that by running this, we will see our database saved locally in this path. And as you see here, we have our vector store saved in ChromaDB. Now let's use this vector store to retrieve a relevant document to a given question. So now, as we already have our vector store saved locally, we don't need to create it again. We just need to precise the vector store path and use it directly. Let's compare with what we've done in the previous step. So here, as you see, we create the vector store using from documents. So we pass the documents which are reviews in our case, and we create our vector store. But here we are using the vector store directly by precising the vector store path. As you see, guys, here we are using again the embedding model, because we need to embed the question. And it's important, guys, to keep the same embedder, because you will search the vector store. So you are searching embeddings in the vector store. So it needs to be the same embedding model for the question and for the documents which are stored in the vector store. Once this is done, we use the similarity search method to search documents which are relevant to the given question. And here we put k equals to 3. It means we need only 3 documents to be returned. So we will have the 3 most relevant documents to answer to this question. Let's run this code now. And here we have our document. So here we are printing the content of the first returned document, which is this one. Let's put all this in our chain now. And now we will see more the advantages of using this kind of chains using the LCL language, which stands for LangChain expression language. So this part of the chain is the same as what you saw in the last video. We have the same review prompt template, the same chat model, and the output parser at the end of the chain. But here we are adding this block. And this is a game changer, guys, because we don't need to pass the context manually, because we can pass the whole vector store in our chain that we define here, the same that we use so far, but here we are returning 10 documents instead. This question will be passed to the chain, which will be used in the retriever to return the 10 more relevant documents relevant to answer to the question. Here we use the runnable pass-through object, which will ensure that we will have the question unchanged in the chain. Once the relevant documents are returned, they will pass through the prompt template alongside with the question, which will be passed at the end to the chat model. Based on this, the model will answer to the question. And last but not least, the parser will be used to parse the answer as we saw so far. And all these parts stay unchanged, guys. The retriever, the vector store, the prompt template, embedding model, the model, and so on. Let's run this code now. So the question is, has anyone complained about communication with the hospital staff? And here we have, yes, multiple patients have complaints and so on. And this is based on the documents returned from the retriever search. So this is it, guys, for today. And now, as you became familiar with concepts like prompt template, chat model, retriever, output parsers, and so on, in the next video, I will talk about a concept which became ubiquitous nowadays, which is the concept of agents.